Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there, welcome along. It is Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. And it's terrific, as always, to have your company with us today when we're live on a Monday. A little bit late today, but here we are. We have arrived, we've got there, we're on air, and it's great to have your company as always. Now, don't forget, regardless of where you're watching us, it could be on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you have any questions for my guest today, then please don't hesitate. Just get those messages on the boards next to the program, and then what we'll do, we'll share that with our viewers today, and it'll start a discussion as well. Got a great guest lined up for you today, and really excited about this. A man that when I contacted him, he is just a cool dude. He really is. Even his emails are somewhat cool too. It is Lee Rickler. Lee, great to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm actually doing all right, actually. It's good. Yeah, it's good to be here. And, thanks for having me.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on the program today. Really looking forward to it. We live in very, very challenging times at the moment. And there's no denying that a lot of businesses really don't know what they should be doing, where they should be going, how they should be approaching the whole world of online. Before we get into the nitty gritty of that, for those people that know nothing about you, what do you do and who are you?
Complicated stories. Let's put it this way. Around about 20 odd years ago, I was working as a graphic designer, producing posters for live bands, even handmade bespoke party invites for, big posh parties, that kind of thing. Out of the blue, a friend of mine called me and said, "You got an email address, haven't you?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, so therefore you know all about this new internet thing that's coming up." And, bear in mind, this was 20 odd years ago. He'd got a client who needed a website built and wanted me to build it. That client turned out to be Microsoft. So we worked on that. You might have heard of them.
Yeah.
From that, I got some work working with Apple. I was freelancing for a few years, Canon UK, BBC, Thames TV, blah, 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 load of different big companies, RBS, those kind of things. Then I was taken into on board with a few other design agencies, especially ad agencies in the West End, asked to build up. Of course, by then, the online digital world had kind of been talked about a lot, and it was good for companies to get into that area. So therefore I was taken on by a few companies to build up the digital branch. Then I ended up working for Canon UK as the head of design for one of their subsidiaries, and that was fine. Only supposed to be there a couple of weeks. 6 years later I'm still there. And Canon decided to close down the subsidiary. I was offered either to go and work in Stockley Park or take a load of redundancy. I didn't want to go all the way working up to Stockley Park every single day. So I took the redundancy and then I started off my new company, which has been going for over 12 years now, which is Point and Stare. And it's an online media agency. And as I say, we've been going about 12 years. We work with lots of different companies across lots of different industries, from single self-employed, like motivational speeches, that kind of thing, all the way up to big companies, big global corporations, like wine companies, jewelry manufacturers, those kind of things. So, yeah, a long history of being online and working online.
So a very diverse range then of organisations that
Yep.
you're working for. When you talk to people who are thinking about going online or they're thinking about refreshing their appearance online, what's the single piece of advice that you find yourself giving on a regular basis, if there is one?
A lot of companies, they think they just need, like years ago, you just put up a website. Oh, you got a website, great. Oh, we're all going to visit that. Of course, times have changed now. But a lot of companies are still stuck in we've got to get a website, we have a website, and we'll worry about it later kind of thing. You have to look at where your customers are coming from, what they want. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about them. So we have to kind of go all the way back to the beginning. Right, forget about what you want. What do your customers want? Let's work it up from there. What devices are they on, for example? A lot of people, they go building websites just to view on a desktop. But, of course, these things, they come into play and they are, vital to a lot of people's survival these days.
Do you think those days are long gone then, where you can just put a brochure site up and not worry about mobile or anything like that? And you've got to be proactively working on your website on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of companies, they hadn't even considered this, and I say to them, well, look at your staff. Look at your staff. What are they doing? They're sitting on their phones all day long. They're buying stuff through Argos or whatever, or Harrods or whatever company you are, but they're doing it on their phone. Very rarely do people, especially during the day, sit there on a desktop. Right, I can only access this on a desktop. And then companies kind of slowly come around to that, especially the old established companies, like accountants and solicitors and those kind of things as well. We need to kind of drag them into the, to the modern age.
Well, it's interesting because I don't know whether he was a customer of yours, but are you familiar with Antonio Falco, the sales director? He says, hello, Lee. So hello there, Antonio. Antonio joins us on a regular basis. We do have little chats when we're off screen, Antonio and myself, and we put the worlds to right. And both Antonio and I agree that there is a lot of guff that is published on all the social media platforms. And a lot of people publish a lot of guff on their websites as well. If you were saying to somebody today, the right way to approach writing your website, has that changed over the years, do you think?
It has. Before, again, previously it was like, we've won awards, we do this, we go the extra mile, we're professional, those kind of things. It's not about you. It's not about, nobody gives a monkeys about your company and your awards and that kind of thing. What they care about is, I've got a problem, how are you going to fix it? So, you have to write things, the text, the images, the videos, whatever you got on your website has to appeal to your customer. In Antonio's case, we spoke about this the other week. The blue that he uses is very jarring, in my opinion. And he likes it, so he kept it at that. So, so I just zipped up and left him to it.
So there you have it, Antonio. The blue is very, very jarring. Okay. I love it. Okay, listen. If we were kicking off, we've got a number of things we're going to be talking about today. Yep. If we were kicking off, what kind of money do you think someone should expect to be paying for a website? Is it expensive? Is it something we should be doing ourselves? Is it WordPress? So many questions, so little time. Is it? Are there different platforms that we should be using? First of all, what kind of money should we be paying on a website that we want to work for us? By the way, just before you go on to that, I can see he's come back. Let me just see what he says. He said, here we go. Absolutely. It's not about you, but them. But Lee doesn't like my colour blue, laugh out loud. So there you go. And he's also said as well that he's going to see to it as well. So he'll be sorting the blue out, Lee. So then, going back to what we were talking about, when it comes to cost, what should we be looking at?
It's the age-old question, isn't it? How much is a website? My answer is always the same. It's the same price as a car. And that leaves a lot of people confused. Because they go, but how much is a car? And I go, well, there you go. A car is the same price as a website as well. It totally depends on what you want, when you want it, how you want it, where you want it, who you want it for, those kind of things. A website, you could say a website is, I don't know, 500 quid, £500,000. I've worked on a huge range of budgets for a website. Yes, you can use WordPress. You can also do it for free as well. There's plenty of places around that you can use. You can set yourself up online for basically no money at all, like WordPress.com. for example. You can set up a free account and have a website there. If you like, you can use your own domain, and even then it only costs like £7 a month, I think, something like that. So it's very cheap. Of course, if you want something bespoke, if you want something original, if you want something that doesn't look like yet another WordPress website, then of course it's going to cost money. How much that is totally depends on how long the project is, what functions, those kind of things. So yeah, my answer is always the same. It's the same price as a car.
Well, Angus Grady agrees with that, and he thinks that's a fantastic line as well. And I must thank Angus as well. It was through Angus that I had the opportunity of get in contact with you. But while we were talking earlier on, we have talked before. We've met before as well at some of the Brad Burton events when we were doing live broadcasts from there. So it's great actually to have you on the program. Okay, then. So I'm a consultant. I'm a one-man band. I've decided I want to have the website. Are there any tools? You've already said that we can get it hosted effectively for free, and we could do WordPress. What do you see as the big mistake that the single entrepreneurs make, the solopreneurs, what they make when they start designing their websites? Is it this all about me, and not really getting in the mind of the customer? Do you think?
Yeah, so a lot of mistakes I see making it's like the same thing, right? I've got a brilliant idea. I'm gonna cure all the ills in the world. I'm gonna set up a website about it, or I'm gonna buy an app, or I'm gonna spend a fortune on getting a brochure done, spending 6 months getting my business plan together, that kind of thing. I always say to people, look, forget all about that stuff. Just go on WordPress.com, for example, set up something free, mess about, see what you can do, that kind of thing. Cut to the chase, and then ask a few friends what they think about what you've done, and make a few changes. But also ask people outside of your close family or your close network what they think of your idea, what they think of the words, those kind of things. If you can afford it, get somebody to do all the copywriting, because you're never going to write for your customers. You're going to have an idea of what they want, but a copywriter is going to be so much more succinct in what they provide. And if you can,
is that expensive? Is that expensive when it comes to getting someone to do your copywriting for you?
Same price as a trailer to put on your car.
Are we going to go down? That's the whole show. Yeah. Caravans next.
Yeah. What if I want a video shot? Oh, that's going to be a caravan. Yeah.
But you're so right. You see, when people come to us, they say, "Well, how much is when we do our corporate video work, which is the majority of what we do." When we go out there, and they'll say, "We only want a 3-minute video." And in the old days, of course, the rule of thumb was nearly £1,000 a minute. Now, it all depends what you want to achieve. You can shoot everything on an iPhone if you wanted to. I think BMW shot a complete advert on iPhones. However, when you saw the shoot itself, the lighting cost billions. The rigs that the iPhones were held in cost billions. The whole thing was hugely expensive. But yes, it was shot on an iPhone, but not as we know it. It was, and also it's the expertise as well, isn't it? It's coming to somebody like you who will understand that, who has got the understanding, the expertise to deliver their ideas, so they realise their ideas.
I mean, we predominantly work on WordPress platform. We have done for probably about 10 years now, I think, something like that. And when we're speaking to people, they go, "Yeah, but WordPress is free," and go, "Yeah, but you're not paying for WordPress." What you're paying, as you rightly say, is our expertise, our knowledge, experience, those kind of things as well. I mean, a lot of people make the mistake also. The other side of that is when they set up a business, they think they can do the accounts, they think they can do the marketing, they think they can do shooting videos, those kind of things. And, this side of it works brilliantly. But, oh, no, the accounts are no good. And now you've got like a massive VAT bill, or you've got, a really crappy video. Always look at the things that you could do best. Concentrate on those. If you can afford it, get an accountant. If you can afford it, get somebody to write a copy. If not, just bootstrap the whole lot. Stick it on a company credit card or those kind of things as well. But essentially, stick at what you can do best and concentrate on that.
All right, then. Okay. Let's move away from the web. Well, actually, before we move away from the website, you were talking about talking to your friends and people like that to see whether the copy was right. Visually, do you think that's important? The way it actually looks.
Yeah, it's got to work. I mean, visually, it's got to work for, across the board. But also another thing to consider, who are your audience? Let's presume your audience are partially sighted, for example, or the old people. You got to work with the audience in mind, as I said right at the beginning. For example, Antonio's Blue, and some of the structure on his pages is not going to work for visually sighted. It's not going to pass any tests in that area. I ran a few tests myself. I'm going to keep having a go at Antonio until he takes us on board.
I was just. You noticed my little look at you just then. I mean, because we're using a different camera for what you can see, but I'm just waiting for Antonio to come back now and start complaining. What's his attack going to be that's going to be on him today? So that's important then visually. Is there a cheap platform? For instance, we use Divi. Divi theme is the thing that we use. A lot of people are using that at the moment. It's a great entry. It's very, very flexible. It's very, very versatile. It allows you to build great websites very quickly. It's got great support on it. But I mean, there are other themes out there that people can use, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, Divi is a visual builder. Now, the problem with you, and they're great. If you're not technically minded, they're brilliant. If you're on WordPress.com, you use their own one, Gutenberg, or you can buy extra theme builders like Divi. There's plenty of them out there as well. Now, my problem with them is obviously the code that they create is not always clear, not always nice and clean. Your website needs to load up really quickly. It's kind of an SEO element as well. And with a builder, they don't know what browser you're looking at. They don't know what device you're looking at the website on. Therefore, they have to cater for every single market. So you're going to get like this much code, where actually all you really need is this much code. Therefore, the website's going to load up slower than it should do. So yes, they're great, on one hand of getting yourself built, but of course they have their drawbacks as well.
Okay, Antonio's came back to us as well. Don't worry, he's not having a go. But what he is saying, when you first start out, not many have the chance to outsource those activities that are not core.
Yeah.
Therefore, the first objective should be to go to work towards getting the income in to outsource those jobs. You cannot and should not be doing, allowing you to focus on what you do best. And he's very right. So he hasn't come back. He's just given some good advice. But that really is important. I think that do what you're good at doing. If you're trying to be a jack of all trades, you're going to fail at nearly all of them as well. Nice comment from Angus Grady. Love the banter. That's why Lee is so good. I must admit, I've enjoyed the phone call with you as well. And he's also highly recommends you as well for anything to do with web.
Excellent.
He says your advice is gold dust, he says.
Yeah, and his checks in the post.
Actually, talking about Angus Grady is quite interesting because that kind of leads us on to social media. And of course, he is the LinkedIn unlocker.
Yeah.
When it comes to social media, and this is another conversation that I've had with some of our colleagues that are online at the moment, is there a lot of guff out there? Do you need to be on all of them? Do you need to be doing the rounds up every day, 3 or 4 posts on the different... You work for Brad Burton. Now, in the early days, Brad Burton, he was like a virus on your phone. He was posting 20 times a day, wasn't he? Your phone was forever pinging with something from Brad. Are those days gone, do you think?
It should be targeted. I mean, social media is exactly the same as the website. Look at the audience. Where are the audience? If I'm selling stuff and my audience is basically on Facebook, concentrate on Facebook. If it's on LinkedIn, concentrate on that. I've written quite a few articles, including A to Z of alternative social media as well. These are other platforms you might not think of. For example, like a cat's owners forum. There's also one for dog owners, and there's one for other pets as well. A client years and years and years ago was selling vinyl records in the UK, just locally, that kind of thing. And he's saying, well, sales are okay, but I'm not really getting anywhere. And I said, well, have a look at this this website. It was a Japanese version of Facebook, but they did speak English as well as Japanese. And he said, well, what's the point of that? Sorry, I nearly swore there. What's the point of that? And I said, well, the thing is, Japanese love your products, your records, that kind of thing. He signed up, got going, got chatting, built up some relationships, and of course his sales took off internationally. So that's like a really good example of targeting your audience, getting in there.
Do you think that's the exception, not the rule, though, do you think?
Well, yes and no, because he had a niche little market and he had to hone down to that niche audience as well. When's a really good time to post on LinkedIn? When should you post on LinkedIn? Well, when you're ready, when you're happy, when your audience is up. It's no use, for example, posting an offer for the US market like now to 12 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK, because they're all asleep, for example. So, look at when your market's around. How many times a day should you post? Well, again, whenever you want. You don't have to keep chucking out loads of sales messages all the time, because people will get bored and then move on. Let's put it this way. When you go to the pub, you remember them things, we could go to the pub. You're not going to stand there every 5 minutes shouting at people to buy your stuff. You're going to sit there, you're going to have a conversation, you're going to go home, you're going to have some lunch, you're going to watch TV. Tomorrow you might go back again, that kind of thing. It's the same with social media. Use it as a conversation and a relationship building channel rather than just a constant sales channel.
Interesting comments coming in at the moment concerning, first of all, Angus Grady, when you said the check's in the post. He said, "Can you sign it next time, please?" Is what Angus says. So thank you very much, Angus, for that one. Linda Bazant, the other half of Business Connections Live, she says that also be careful about who you outsource to. Try to get recommendations from a trusted peer or organisation, such as your local Chamber of Commerce. That's a really important comment, isn't it? That needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean. There's the kind of a good segue into SEO. We talk about SEO because they want to be Google number one. Now, I've got a few comments on that. I'll go into them now. Maybe we'll go into them later. My point is, nobody's going to Google accountants in my area because accountancy is it's a crucial element of your business. What they are going to do is ask for recommendations. They're going to ask their mates on Facebook. They're going to ask their mates on LinkedIn. They're going to ask their friends for recommendations. Getting Google number one is great and everything, but it's not the be all and end all. A vast majority of our work is from word of mouth, from joining things like the local Chamber of Commerce, from doing networking, with For Networking and YBC and a few others as well. Get out there, build up the relationships, then people will start recommending you.
Just going back to social media again, Antonio, once again, he's been prolific today. Twitter is just mob rule, and I stopped using it a couple of years back. I think it's negative for my business as for folks putting themselves as the number one motivational speaker and other such nonsense. Is he talking about Brad here? Is the guff that now just loses you credibility? The trouble is that everybody promotes themselves as either being a leading author, the number one, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
They're very excited. It's a pivotal decision, blah, 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 blah. There is a lot of, and we use the term advisedly, but there is a lot of crap out there, isn't there?
Yeah, totally. And your job as a business is to wade through all of that stuff as well. If, say, for example, on Facebook, I come across somebody who just constantly spamming all the time, just constantly posting stuff, the simple thing is get rid of them, remove them from your stream. I'm not really into their buying their stuff. I'm not going to recommend them because all they're doing is harassing people all the time, and it's just not good for business. Be yourself. take it easy. Treat social media as a way to build up relationships, just the same as you would in a normal situation offline. And also, and by the way, did you know I do this? I run that. Ah, right. I'm glad you said that, because a mate of mine needs that. That's how you get work, and that's how we've managed to be in business for the last 12 years.
Do you think too many people rely on social media as they see that as their marketing? That's how I'm going to market. I don't need to do anything else. I'll just be on social media all the time, and that's where it's all going to come from.
Yeah, I've got a website, I've got a Twitter, I've got a Facebook. That job done right now. When does the work come in? It's like that. And also the other side of it is setting up scheduling for social media as well. Right, I'm going to post this advert at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. Well, that's great. But what if somebody actually replies back to your post asking for more details? Are you going to be around? Well, no, you're not. Well, you can lose a sale straight away. So that time you spent scheduling stuff has been wasted. Be active on social media. A couple of people were speaking to me the other day about I'm constantly on LinkedIn, and I'm going, well, I'm not constantly on LinkedIn, but every time I do go on LinkedIn, I look at what people are posting, I respond to them, I post my own stuff, those kind of things. It's not about being on it full time. It's about being on it when you're ready, and when you're active, and when you can respond as well.
Listen, really enjoying today, and the comments are coming in, albeit from our friends and colleagues who are out there. We'll get through them because I can. I know you can't see them at the moment because of the way we do. But Lee may not like my website. Ask him what he thought of his talk the other day, unrehearsed and no notes. That's knowing your subject. Comments, Lee. So obviously you saw him doing a talk the other day. Is that right?
Who's that? Antonio? Yeah.
Antonio, yeah.
I blame Antonio for me harassing him about his website, because he was talking about, push for the sale, go in there, don't be afraid of standing up, those kind of things. His talk was totally spot on. And we had a chat window open when he was doing his talk. Loads of people were saying, spot on, I totally agree. Yes, oh no, I wish I'd known that before, that kind of thing. Antonio's talk, I've met Antonio, I think, a couple of times before, but a talk he did, I was just sitting there going, yep, totally agree all the time. It's totally spot on.
Okay, Linda's come back and she said, agree with Antonio. Someone once told me that posting on Twitter, this is interesting, was the same as putting a leaflet on a car windscreen on a windy day. Yeah, it could be. I think I've said that once or twice as well.
But again, it's about why am I on this platform? What am I doing on this platform, and who am I listening to as well? If you go to the pub, you sit there and some bloke out the back there is just shouting and screaming all the time, you're going to move away, or you're not going to go to that pub ever again, or you're going to block him somewhere. You can speak to the manager. I want to speak to Karen, the manager, so you narrow these things down. You get rid of all that's in your life. You only go with a positive, and build up and take from social media. It is about giving, but also is about taking as well. From social media, whatever the platform is, what you want to take, what you want to hear. Yes, you don't want to hear people saying how brilliant you are all the time, those kind of things. Yeah, that's great. But I want to hear good news. I want to hear something that's going to progress my life and my business. I want to hear some positive as well. There's if I want to hear crap, I'll just go and buy the Sun. I don't do that. I haven't bought a newspaper for, 20 odd years. I can't remember. But it's about narrowing down and just picking and choosing what you want to hear, what you want to see, what you want to learn, and who you want to learn it from.
Fantastic. Listen, let's just take a little bit of a break there, shall we, just for a few moments, and give yourself a chance to have another glass of vodka. And excellent.
Gin.
It's gin, is it? I'm just making absolutely certain. And we'll come back to you in just a few moments' time. Thanks a lot there. Lee is my guest on today's program. Hope you're enjoying today's show. Really just fascinating insight into what is going on when it goes to when it comes to designing your website. Let's go back a couple of weeks now, shall we? To last week, in fact, when we had Dexter Moscow on. He gave some really good advice if you're getting out there. It was all about selling in a televisual age. It was a really good show. Dexter, as always, has good value for money. We had lots of very encouraging comments come back after the program. Dexter's background was he's done a lot of direct response television, shopping telly to you and I. He's done a lot of that. He's trained some of the guest presenters on the likes of QVC and those kind of channels. Really, really good, because he's applying some of the rules that you use and some of the techniques that you use in direct response television, and he's using them now in the business environment, and he's teaching other people to do it as well. Fantastic program last week. If you get a chance, do go back and watch the entire show. But just to give you the key takeaways, here's Dexter Moscow from last week's edition of Business Connections Live.
Yes, my name is Dexter Moscow. It is my real name. I can be contacted at www.dextermoscow.co.uk. And the key take-homes that I want you to have that you can use immediately is understand who your audience is. Understand who you're selling to in the broadest terms of that word selling. Make sure that your credibility is up front and you use those 4 cornerstones. Personal credibility, company credibility, 3 or 4 facts about what you do and what that means to them. And those 3 E's plus 1. Excite, enlighten, entertain, and engage, and continue to engage right the way through your conversations.
Dexter Moscow from last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Hope you're enjoying today's program. Oh, by the way, don't forget, if you'd like to be involved with the show, if you'd like to be on the program, then get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live. It's dead easy to do. All you got to do, as always, is to maybe, perhaps drop us an email if you wish to this email address. It is studio@businessconnectionslive.com. That's studio@businessconnectionslive.com. Or if you want, you can also pick the phone up and give us a call on 01784 256 777. You can follow our stream of consciousness as well. All my buttons are in delay at the moment, but you can follow our stream of consciousness on, there's the telephone number. Thank you. We've got that. The stream of consciousness is BCL Business TV. But the best place to go to catch up on all the programs and everything else that we do here at Business Connections Live is to go to our website at businessconnectionslive.com. So it's all very interesting what's going on with the buttons, but we'll get over it. We'll sort it all out in just a few moments' time. Lovely to have your company as always. My guest on the show today is Lee Rigler. Lee, great to have you with us. Thank you very much indeed. I'm struggling with my buttons, so I do apologize. There's the telephone number. I've given that already. We've got the stream of consciousness all gone. What we need is your name. There it is. From Point and Stare, web design, content, and development. We've been talking about websites. We've been talking about social media platforms, who and what we should be using. Let's talk a little bit about this, because we've got Angus Grady. He's there as well at the moment. He's watching the program, but maybe you can also give some advice, because one of the things, how to find clients on LinkedIn. That was one of the topics that you were going to talk about. And that's an interesting one. So how do you go about finding clients when it comes to LinkedIn?
Well, before I would just sit around and click around and try and find somebody and then just send him this, do you want to buy my stuff? Email. And it never worked. And then I spoke to Angus, and Angus said, no, don't do that, mate. And I said, oh, now you tell me, thanks a lot. So now what I do is 2 different things. So, for example, if I want to work with a business, I can see something wrong with their online stuff, I want to speak to them about it, that kind of thing. So I would do a search for an employee or a connection of mine that knows somebody works at that company, or the CEO, or those kind of things within LinkedIn itself, try and connect with them that way. You can do that, but the other side of it is also there's groups and that you can join as well. So if I know somebody who's the head of whatever company and they're in this group and we've got this connection together, I'm not into football, but let's say, for example, we both support the same football team, join that group, get in that way, start building up relationships. So essentially use it as a search. Search for who you're looking for, search and then try and get a connection that way and then build up a relationship.
Do you do the dance? Are you somebody that feels that you make a connection and then what you do is you will comment on what they do and you'll get involved? Now, Angus, of course, is contrary to that. What Angus says is, you're connecting with somebody, so get in touch with them, talk to them, find out more about what they're all about. But sometimes the dance isn't really necessary.
Sometimes not. No, I mean sometimes you've connected with them, and all of a sudden they're connecting back and saying, "Oh, I'm glad you joined our group. Listen, I do this, and I'm not quite doing it right. Can you help me?" So they will come back as well. But essentially, it's the old cliche: people buy people. People buy from people, I should say, and building up relationships is key to making any progress or any sales.
Just out of interest, then, when it comes to using LinkedIn, what kind of success have you had on it? Because I sometimes wonder if it's down to the product you're selling, to the terminology, or the linguistics that you use. Actually, Angus has just come back. Let's just see if he agrees with what was said, because they're 45 seconds behind us, aren't they? Right. Kiss chase, play a bit, but the chat as soon as he can is his approach, is what Angus is saying. So, and that's what Angus uses, and Angus is very, very proactive. Great idea, because he sends out cards, he sends out snail mail, he sends out audio files. He's very good at creating that relationship, and I think the trouble is that a lot of people are seduced by the vanity of numbers. It's the numbers of LinkedIn contacts that they have, and they are completely seduced by that, and they don't understand that 20 you could make as much money out of 20 people that you're actually working with than 3,500 people that you're not working with.
Excuse me. I posted about that actually the other day. I'd rather have one connection that's a really good connection, a great relationship built up, and we're buying each other's stuff, than 1,000 that are just sitting there waiting for you to post something. Excuse me. It's all about building up relationships. I can't stress that enough. I've been through that 1,000 times with people. Build up. Don't just go there posting. Somebody lately, the most people are doing is Bitcoin and Bitcoin spam. I got somebody wanted to connect with me the other day. Straight away asked me if I wanted to buy Bitcoin. It's just not the way to do it. Blocked them straight away. Get lost. Not interested. Whereas there's other people. I'd love to connect with you. I've seen you do this. I've seen you do that. Can we connect? Yeah, no problem at all. But I'm always checking out their profiles first. See what they do. See what their activity is. Is it just a stream of sales, negative, offensive stuff? If it is, I'm not even going to bother going there. The success I've had on LinkedIn is purely, again, I'm saying it's purely from building up relationships. I've posted an article. A couple of times I've posted something on there. Within a while, I've got people trying to connect with me straight away, because I totally agree with you, what you've said in that article. Let's connect up. And by the way, can you have a look at this? Because we're kind of failing in this area. I'd welcome your advice. So, I can't say it's enough. It's about relationships.
It is all about relationships. And I think what's interesting is that the relationships that I have built over the years on those platforms, but interestingly, it's not with everybody. And the number of people who are on my list or in my connections that I've never heard from. And I think the thing that's so disappointing sometimes is that you go back to communicate with them, to say hello, ask them how they are, what they're doing, are they interested? and you just get no response at all. It is like talking into a black void sometimes on LinkedIn. So, I mean, there is this consensus, I think, now of opinion that concentrate on a smaller number and do it well. There was a note there from Angus talking about his talking postcards, which you helped him to perfect. And they've been very, very successful. And I think that is such a great idea, that particular idea. Let's move on a little bit because, time is marching on, surprisingly. And can't believe how quickly the hour is going by. Online security. That seems to be a big one. I was mucking around last night with backing up data and stuff like that. We've got a Drobo that we're going to be using for a lot of the content that we're creating. So we've got something that's a bit more secure in-house to maintain and look after the security and integrity of our data. But people trying to get into your system is a big worry. And I think a couple of times we've had attacks on the website. What's your advice there when it comes to online security?
Online security is a big essential element of your website as well. Just the same as if you've got a physical store, you're not going to leave the door open. You're also going to look at who's next door to you. Have you got a bank next door? You've got a police station next door? Or have you got some other guy who's always digging in the walls? Therefore, it's very easy for somebody to get in to your store. On where website is concerned, I get a lot of, but my website's only really small. Nobody's going to want to nick anything off there. There's no credit card numbers or anything like that. That's not the point. The hackers will try to break into a server where your website is stored. From that, they will push out lots of different scripts and key login scripts, those kind of things. So yes, it's important to secure your own website, but also look at who your hosting is shared with as well. Look at the companies. If you can afford a really good secure server, get it. If you can't, just go for a cheap shared one. But be careful of who you go with. Don't go with somebody who's $1 cheaper than the other guy because they're $1 cheaper for whatever reason. Because they're rubbish. Go with the best hosting company you can afford. Also, install security functions. Speak to your web developer about those. If you haven't got one, if you're doing it yourself, speak to your hosting company as well about the best way to secure your website.
Is there a recommendation from you on a particular?
Well, if you're using, if you're looking for a hosting company, there's a couple of people I use. SiteGround are quite good in the UK. Also, Crystal, who are based in the UK as well. If you're using a WordPress website, then look at WordFence as a plugin to be using as well. But essentially, it comes down to how you're going to lock the door. If you're leaving the back door open, you're using some dodgy old plugin that you bought off of some dodgy old website just because it's $2 cheaper than if you go to the actual source, then you're going to get broken into. A lot of people say, WordPress. I know everybody gets broken into on WordPress. It's online. It's going to get broken into anyway. It doesn't matter if it's WordPress, whether it's Drupal, whether it's any other content management system, plain HTML or anything like that. The government websites, the US military websites, they get hacked into every single day. And if they're going to get hacked into, your little website is easily going to get hacked into. It's about hiding the keys, and it's about taking as many measures as you can. And if it does get broken into, don't just speak to the bloke in the pub about getting it fixed. Speak to a proper company about fixing your website, taking out all the scripts, resetting passwords, and also there's that thing as well, every couple of months reset all your passwords.
I mean, that's such good advice. I must admit, when we started our business, we were on a shared server, and when you investigated the shared server, the other sites that are on the same server were porn sites because there's right. Nothing you can do about it. And we're with a large server organization. I mean, they're one of the big boys in the UK. And so we actually took our websites away from there. We've now got a dedicated server that's our own. But also that was detrimental as well to the SEO of our website. The fact that we were on a server that some of the other customers that we were sharing it with were showing porn. And I don't think people realize that when they go for a cheap option and they're sitting on a server and it's, they are sharing a platform with other people, and it can actually go against their own SEO, can't it?
Yeah, it can do. Also, for example, a porn website is a really good target for hackers, not only for the material, obviously, but also because they normally store credit card details, those kind of things. So if I'm going to go there, forget about the material, mate, I'm going to go and get credit card details. So yes, you're sharing that server. As I kind of said before, they're not going to go for your website. They're going to go for a server which has got all these websites on it to store the information there. There are a few tests you can do. You can run online to see how secure your website is. There's lots and lots of different things you can do, installing plugins, installing your own scripts, server-side settings, those kind of things. We deal with all of that as well as part of our projects.
All right, let's just go back to what we were talking about earlier on. Antonio, once again, good question from him. He's come up, he said, is it a good thing to cull your LinkedIn list, do you think? Angus, this would be one for you as well, if you got a comment on this. Is it good to cull your LinkedIn list? What do you think?
Yep. All of it, all your mailing list, your LinkedIn list, all those kind of things. One thing, especially nowadays, for months as well, I've been emailing and I've been speaking to customers, previous clients as well, just saying, listen, I just send you this email, making sure you're okay. If there's anything you need, if you need a hand with anything to do with your website, your social media, anything like that, just give us a shout and we can have a chat. This is not a sales pitch. I really seriously just to see how good you are, making that connection, just telling them that one, you're still around, and two, you're actually thinking about them, even though they're previous clients, their past clients, or current clients as well. If they don't respond, they tell you to get lost, take them off your list. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your energy.
Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break there just for a few moments. I really am enjoying what we're talking about today. My guest on today's program is Lee Rigler, and he's from Point and Stare. You can go to their website. That's pointandstare.com, and we'll show you. It is.com, isn't it?
Yep.
It is just making certain that everything's right. That I'm getting it right here at the moment. My buttons slowly but surely have stopped working, so we're doing it all a little bit more manually now. Okay, let's go back. BCL304. Chelsea Baker was on the program, and she was talking about having a mentor in your business. Some good advice from Chelsea Baker. Hold the stare, as they used to teach me in the old days. We'll try doing it the old way.
I'm Chelsea Baker and you're watching Business Connections Live. I've had a great time here on the show. My company is Broadcasting Your Business, which consists of one-to-one mentoring for perfecting your message, pitching and presentation, and press and publicity. So all those packages come into basically 6 categories, which is sales, marketing, PR, media, powerful public speaking, and business pitching and presentations. Those are the fundamental techniques and things that you need to cover and watch out in your business. And that's where somebody like myself, an award-winning business mentor, can actually help you. You know, I've got over 20 years business experience, and I can share my knowledge with you, share my expertise, and actually guide you through the day-to-day challenges that you may be facing. And I think it's very important to seek the services of a business mentor earlier on in your business, because otherwise, you know, you could be looking at potentially damaging mistakes. And it depends how big your budget is, because some businesses, you know, they may never recover. So even if you haven't got any funds for mentoring available, just be careful who you take your advice from, and actually seek professional advice to help you. There's so many free resources on the internet as well available today, but just research what you're doing. And then I'm here if you wanted to get in touch. Have a look at my website, broadcastingyourbusiness.com.
And my thanks to Chelsea Baker. She was on one of the very early shows, BCL number 63. You can watch the entire program if you go to the website at businessconnectionslive.com. My guest today is Lee Rigler, a lovely man, and we've been talking all things when it comes to websites, SEO, gaining clients, and a whole host of other things as well. It's been a really insightful program. Let's talk a little bit. I mean, we've already talked a little bit about SEO. Before we get onto that, actually, Chelsea made some interesting points, and the questions come into my head. What about mentors? Do you have a mentor?
You know what? No, I don't. I don't physically pay a mentor and go to a mentor session or anything like that. But there's people like Angus Grady or Antonio that I pick up points from, and I pick up tips and hints, those kind of things. I've never had anybody to drive me, to push me in the right direction or anything like that. People like Brad Burton as well, even Stephen Thomas. Every now and again they'll just say something. You go, oh, geez, yeah, of course, yes. Why didn't I know that years ago? Rather than having one person going, I know what you want, I know how to do it, all these kind of things, push you in the right direction, because you might not get along. So have I had a mentor? Never. Do I recommend people get mentors? Yes, but which is kind of contradictory. But at the same time, I pick up lots of information from lots of different people. Everybody's got their own opinion. I might not necessarily agree with it, but there are people that I do totally agree with some of the things they say.
I think we're very lucky, actually, with doing this program, because we end up talking to so many different people, many of whom have become very good friends, and they act like sounding boards, like mentors for us. And I think you're dead right there. It's those business relationships. I mean, you mentioned a few there: Antonio, Angus, Brad. I mean, we've had a few, glasses of wine with Brad, and I mean, I think a lot of people see one facet of Brad. They don't see the other side of what he's all about and who he is, and actually the knowledge that he has. And of course he's turned 4N around, hasn't he? So that's really very remarkable too. So it is very interesting. I suppose in many respects we all have mentors in many different ways. Let's move on because we're rapidly approaching SEO. That a lot of people. The dark art. In fact, we're going to be doing a program next week on SEO as well. We're talking to somebody in Toronto next week. We're looking forward to that. They decided they want to be part of the program, so we're getting them on. We're looking forward to having them on the show. John Vong is his name. He's coming on. But SEO here in the UK, what is important is SEO so that you're visible across the country, or local SEO. And what's the best way about going about being SEO efficient?
The best way to include SEO as part of your online presence, part of your online strategy, is to consider it right at the beginning, to build it into whatever projects you're doing right at the beginning as well. And the other main thing is, don't chase Google number one. Because if you keep doing that, Google will just move the goalpost, and you're forever chasing it. You're forever paying a company, thousands, hundreds, thousands, whatever, to try and get to number one. Like an architect, if you're going to build a house, you're going to go to an architect. They're going to go, right, well, we need to build the walls here, put the roof here, put the windows here, put the electrics here, those kind of things. If you go, oh, yeah, we'll just build some walls and, right, we built the walls, now what do we do about the windows? Where do they go? Oh, right, they go there. Oh, what about electric? Oh, maybe we need to, a lot of people think they can kind of tack on SEO at the beginning of it, like it's a plugin or something like that. Consider it right from the beginning. SEO is a massive subject as well. There's so many different elements to it. It's not literally about filling your page with keywords and hoping Google picks it up. It's about a whole raft of things, including the speed, including whether your website's mobile friendly, including schema tags, descriptions, images, all those kind of things as well.
What are schema tags for those people that don't know?
Schema tags are, for example, if you post something on LinkedIn. So I've written an article, I want to post it on LinkedIn. Now, what comes up in the description? Is an image used? Is the correct image used? Those kind of things. So also, if you're a business, you've got a physical presence, is the address created correctly as well? So that Google and other search engines as well can pick up, this is the address because you've told us it's the address, therefore we're going to list that properly as your address. That goes on Google My Business, which is a side panel that usually comes up on Google searches as well for your business. So there's a whole raft of elements that need to be included right at the beginning. Similarly to when you speak to an architect, they've got to consider they're not just building a house, they're building all the infrastructure, they're building the wiring, they're looking at where the plugs go, where the toilets go, those kind of things as well.
I suppose the thing to remember as well is that the whole point that Google is there is that when you put a search entry into it, what Google wants to return is the answer to your search. And if it doesn't return the answer to your search effectively, then perhaps you might go off and use Bing or one of the other search engines, because that's the product that they're supplying. That's what's on their box, isn't it? That's what they do. Google
wants to return, first of all, it wants to return relevant adverts to you. Because then as a business, you go, oh, look, I need to be up there. I'm going to have to pay them loads of money. After that, then it'll be down to relevant searches as well. Because you're totally right. If I'm looking for Arsenal Football Club and it comes back with a load of results about Britney Spears or something, well, yeah, what's the point? You know what? I'm going to go somewhere else. So, they're only looking after themselves first. But then searching depends on a lot of, from a searcher's point of view, what you've searched for previously, where you're based, are you logged into Google or not? And all of these relevant returns come up depend on that. I could search for something, you could search for something, and we could get completely different results depending on our history with Google and what they want to show to you.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? A lot of people, when they're trying out to see whether something is working, they will go into their browser and they'll do a search, maybe for themselves or whatever. And of course, it's completely skewed, isn't it? When they do those kind of searches, you need to go into incognito in Chrome or whatever it's called on the others to see what other people are seeing when they do the same search. And I don't think a lot of people realise that when they're mucking around with their computers, do they?
No, I've had clients going, I've searched for myself on Google and I'm not number one. I go, well, so what? Who cares in that sense? And then I go, yeah, but these guys, these SEO companies search for me and I'll come up at Google number one. I go, yeah, because they fixed it. They fixed it so you come up at number one. You can do that instantly. And it's only number one for them as well. The best way to search for something for yourself, for your own company, is on a machine that you've never searched for, you never used to search in Google, preferably on a completely different IP address, and for keywords that are relevant to your company as well. I could produce something and get it Google number one within a week, but it'll be a ridiculously long title that nobody's ever searched for ever, and I've searched for it loads of times. So yes, you can come up with Google number one if you want to, but I wouldn't go chasing that. Because the other side of it is, well, this presume you come up with Google number one, you're working on your own, and you get 1,000 clients call you. Can you handle that business as well? So you always have to look at the long term, not just the short term.
Do you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to attempt to show your website now. Let's just see if that's going to work for us. He keeps pressing the button. Nothing seems to be happening. I will try. We'll come back to I will show the website. I'll put the link up and everything for the website. As we always do at the end of the program, we always ask for the key takeaways at the end. So really the airwaves are all yours right now. So key takeaways that we need to remember. Please say who you are and where you're from, and take as long as you want. 2-3 minutes. Absolutely fantastic. This is the pitch of a lifetime. Lee, take it away. Say who you are and where you're from there at the beginning, please.
Hi, everybody. I am Lee Rickler. I'm the director of Point and Stare, the online media agency that works with businesses to maximise their online presence. Primarily, we work using WordPress as a content management system, which allows us to design and develop everything from basic brochure websites right the way up to bespoke online stores, event booking systems, online courses, those kind of things. As a business, we all need to be online, especially these days. So if you want help with that, whether it's your website, whether it's social media, or even SEO, you can have a little chat with me, Lee Rickler from Point and Stare. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant, Lee. Thank you very much. Short and to the point. And strangely enough, while you were talking, your website came up as well. So there it is.
Magic.
There's the absolute magic. So the website is there. You'll find out more by going to the website. Loads of great testimonials on the site. There's a load of worked examples. Your business community, Penny DeVault, Martina Grand Prix, Case Stevens. There's a whole load of examples there when it comes to the kind of work that Lee can actually do for your organization or for your business. If you want, as he said, to get in contact with him, go to the website and you can find out a whole host of great information just from the website itself. Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the program. Slowly but surely, we had some issues with the broadband just before we started the show. You've battled through it admirably, so thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much to all the people that have been on social media who have been commenting on this as well. We do hope you've enjoyed the show. If there was one last passing comment that you would make about the whole topic, about get online or get off, what would that be, do you think, if there was one passing comment that you could make, and it would be the one that would sort of echo in people's ears?
Be yourself. Build up relationships. Be open, be adaptable, listen to people. You don't know everything, but essentially just get online. If you want your business to survive, you have to get online in one way or another.
And just finally as well, just before we go, some lovely comments coming in as well. David Richards has just come through and he's just said, great show, really enjoyed it. It's come up there. Great show, gents. David, our pleasure. Thank you very much for watching as well. Lee, it's been my pleasure having you on the program today. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. What a nice bloke. I love the tone of your emails, by the way, because they're kind of... They're a bit cool, aren't they? It's, hey, dude, and stuff like that, isn't it? And I quite like that. When I received them, it made me smile, but I was really looking forward to it all the way through the weekend. Lee, thank you very much indeed for joining us on today's program. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Lee Rickler there, and another live program that we put to bed. So thank you very much indeed for watching us on today's edition of Business Connections Live. We're back again next week, but not next Monday, but next Tuesday. And it's mid-afternoon on Tuesday that we're going to be doing it. That's down to the fact that there's a time delay. Our guest is in Toronto. John Vong is his name. We're going to be talking about SEO for your business and local SEO in particular. We're going to be doing an entire program on that. How do you grow that? Maybe you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur in your community, and it's actually the local audience that you're trying to get hold of. Well, we're going to be showing you exactly how to do that on next week's edition of Business Connections Live. But until then, do look after yourselves. Thank you very much indeed for your company. My thanks to Lee as well. And don't forget, when you're out there, stay alert, be safe, because we'd like you to join us next week. But until we do it all again, from me, Steve Hyland, have a great week, and bye for now. Bye-bye.
Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel.